GOG has detailed a coming overhaul of its GOG Galaxy platform that aims to turn the service into a hub for games and people spread across multiple launchers and platforms. That big GOG Galaxy 2.0 update lets its users connect to their accounts on other PC-based platforms, as well as game consoles, and see their games collectively rounded up within GOG Galaxy. It's a new direction for GOG Galaxy, a platform that currently functions similarly to social game stores like Steam, and one that looks to address some of the divides that have opened as more and more PC game storefronts set up shop. While GOG Galaxy 2.0 is also yet another PC game platform, the service aims to act as a hub for players with games spread across multiple storefronts. The company says any PC game imported into GOG Galaxy 2.0 as library can be launched or installed directly from the platform, and that it will be able to keep track of achievements and hours played for both PC and console games imported into its library. On top of that, GOG notes that Galaxy 2.0 will support open source, community-created platform integrations on top of the other in-development features the company has planned. The platform itself is set to launch into a closed beta soon. Details on that and GOG Galaxy 2.0 as a whole can be found on its website. An anonymous dev talks about Fortnite's constant push for new content and the effect it has on developers. Polygon has published a story on how the sudden and ongoing success of Epic Games' Fortnite Battle Royale led to significant perpetual crunch for developers working in quality assurance, customer service, and production roles. To name just a few, developers from Epic, like many at other game studios that have been publicly called out for regular crunch, say that crunch is an unspoken requirement of the job, though never really an official mandate. The full story is an important read, though unfortunately not an unfamiliar one, for game developers, and the reminder that sometimes the pressure to crunch is not as black and white as an explicit rule. Developers in QA, for instance, anonymously tell Polygon that Epic Games' push to keep Fortnite's momentum going on the rollout patches all the time means that many teams exist under a near constant pressure to crunch. The company gives us unlimited time off, but it's almost impossible to take the time. If I take time off, the workload falls on other people, and no one wants to be that guy, says one dev that says they work an average of 70 hours a week. For full-time staff, Polygon's sources say the pot is sweetened by wages, bonuses, and benefits that make it easier to mentally justify constantly putting in excessive hours. For contracted staff, a source says management saw extra work as a requirement for limited-term contracts to be renewed. All management wanted was people who are disposable. A source discussing contract employees told Polygon the situation was, come in and do as many hours as we need you. They put the contractors in a situation where if they do not do that overtime, they know they are not coming back. Staff working in customer service told Polygon of similar issues after Fortnite's sudden growth. In that case, a source says that Epic accelerated hiring to try to accommodate the sudden influx in support tickets. But it was not an issue that could be fixed with the kind of sudden hiring spree that brought 15 untrained staff to the company in a single day. The spokesperson from Epic Games did give several comments to Polygon on the studio's crunch culture, noting that extreme situations such as 100-hour work weeks are incredibly rare, and in those instances, we seek to immediately remedy them to avoid recourse. The spokesperson also notes that Epic has implemented mandatory time-off policies and aggressively growing the team, improving our planning process, and experimenting with approaches. Polygon's full story has come from the past and current developers working at Epic Games, including more comments on how the day-to-day at the company has changed since Fortnite Battle Royale's launch, how developers say management and HR have done little to address those problems in the time since, and comments from Epic on the many issues that is brought up in the article. Hi, I am Phi Dinh, owner of Phigames and creative designer programmer of our upcoming game Recompile, a sprawling atmospheric hacking sci-fi adventure. Place of a recent MPILEWILL witnessed the birth of sapient time in the virtual world of the Mainframe. We recently announced the game in collaboration with our publisher Dear Villages. In this post, I will explore how we are experimenting with Metroidvania gameplay, adding multiple critical paths and dynamic narrative systems, elements not typically seen in this genre. Recompile, at its heart, is a traditional Metroidvania in every sense of the word. Progression through the complex interconnected environment is gated via abilities, slowly revealing the map as the player explores the world. Recompile's traversal abilities include many common mechanics seen in other games, such as wall air jumping, dashing, jetpacks. A feeling of mastery is developed as they become more powerful with each unlock, until they are able to effortlessly glide through the levels in a state of flow as they progress towards the game's conclusion. Backtracking is a key element of exploration in reinforcing this feeling. Metroidvanias by design provide the feeling of a fully explorable open world, but this is just an illusion as the path the player takes in order to gain loot abilities is, in general, very linear. This is called the critical path. Recompile is no exception. There is a very specific order in which abilities are gained, which in turn also unlocks new explorable areas in a linear fashion. Unlike the Metroidvania, however, Recompile offers more than one critical path. Each of these critical paths is based on a specific playstyle, each with their own optional abilities. So, in addition to the car traversal playstyle, jumping, dashing, etc., we also have combat, puzzle and hacking. A variety of guns are available, as well as being able to deal damage using traversal abilities, such as dashing and crash landing. There are many inhabitants in the Mainframe that will try to delete the player. Destroying them is one way to overcome these obstacles. The entire world is powered by extensive and intricate logic gate circuitry. All environmental mechanics, doors, traps, enemies spawning, etc., are fully systemic, creating a lot of potential for ingenious puzzle-based obstacles. Recompile's take on stealth mechanics, allowing the player to hack logic gates in order to change the systemic behavior of the environment. Enemies can also be hacked to turn against each other. This hacking mechanics form what we'll sometimes call here pacifist playstyle. If you think about how the environment in Metroidvania games is gated by ability unlocks, you can imagine how each of the playstyles above will guide the player through a totally different critical path. For example, the player might arrive at a branching path. The left corridor requires the player to hack a door to proceed, whereas the right corridor involves clearing a room full of enemies. Each branch requires a different playstyle, and ultimately leads the player along a different path through the map entirely. Some branches will allow the player to backtrack to try new styles, whereas others may close the path behind them in order to force the player to commit to a particular style. What we are doing is essentially creating 4 separate Metroidvania games, each with its own critical path, and all based on the same map. Sometimes these paths intersect, allowing the player to experiment with different playstyles at various points in the game. Of course, there is nothing to stop the player from trying out all the various playstyles at once. Indeed, there will be a specific ending that requires balanced play from all styles, and naturally that is the most difficult route, as it will require the player to explore the entire map in one playthrough. Multiple critical paths have an interesting side effect. They are natural and very suitable for creating branching storylines, since each playstyle is its own critical path, containing a unique set of rooms. It is very easy to achieve completely distinct environmental storytelling, cutscenes and other narrative elements. This also means we are able to provide a number of different endings, depending on which path the player takes. Recompile is a game about the birth of sapienti, what kind of vibe is created, and how its personality affects the ending. Depends on the actions of the player. This ultimately determines the fate of the world, as the purpose of the mysterious mainframe and its computer system is eventually revealed. The game is scheduled for release sometime in 2020.